and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is on the top 5 highest paid doctors. So prior to me doing research for this video, I actually wasn't too aware of like how much money doctors can actually make, right? And it's weird because I'm a medical student and I should know these things, like how much money, what's my ceiling? But I didn't know. And I feel like you always hear people saying, oh, you're gonna be a doctor? Wow, you're gonna be making a lot of money. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know. The numbers, like I wasn't really focused on the numbers. I was more so focused on like doing something that interests me and something I love. But after seeing this, I'm like, oh, now I see why some people want to be doctors. It's like, now don't be a doctor for the money. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because you're gonna be like, all this money is not worth it if it doesn't make you happy, right? Anyways, let's get into this video on the top 5 highest paid doctors. So I have everything written out here, so I'm gonna be looking over there a little bit. So first I wanna start off by saying what the average is for a specialist compared to a primary care doctor. So a primary care doctor is basically, you know, your regular doctor. So it could be your OBGYN, your psychiatrist, your family medicine doctor, internist. All of those are primary care. Anything else that is like someone that you would be referred to by these doctors would be considered a specialist. So like dermatology, urology, like all these other specialties are considered specialists versus primary care. So a specialist, overall, specialists on average make $329,000 a year. And a primary care physician, all of them on average, make $223,000 per year. That's a $100,000 difference just between on whether you choose to specialize or do primary care. And that's kind of a problem, right? Because right now there's a huge focus on getting more primary care doctors because there's a growing need for them. And more medical students are looking to specialize versus going into primary care because of the enormous amount of debt that we acquire in medical school. It's more reasonable to pay them off if you make more money. So being a specialist is more alluring to a medical student because of the debt that we graduate with. So without further ado, let's move on to the actual top 5. So number 5 is a plastic surgeon. So a plastic surgeon on average makes $473,000. That means there's people that are way above that and some that are below, but that's a lot of money. So how does one become a plastic surgeon? So the regular traditional track, which is also called like the I think it's called like just it's not integrated. So the traditional track was, or still is, there's still some programs that do this. You can go do a 5-year general surgery residency and then do what's called a fellowship of, I believe, 3 years for plastic surgery. That's called the independent track. So for a long time, that's what people did to be plastic surgeries. But then there's also what's becoming more popular is to do an integrated track because you save time. So the regular track, the traditional track, was like 8 years, right, in total. And you can also like, you don't only have to go into general surgery, you can also go into ortho, ENT, neurosurgery, and urology because those are all surgical specialties. And then you can do a fellowship, which is like further training after a residency program to like subspecialize. So plastic surgery is not only a residency, but it's also a fellowship program. So you can do that independent program, and you can also do what's called an integrated track, which is done all at one institution. And it's beneficial to do something that's integrated and all at one institution because then you only have to apply one time. If, for example, I wanted to be a plastic surgeon and I can apply to an integrated track, which is 2 years of general surgery plus 4 years of plastic surgery, making it a total of 6 years. Not only do I save a year, but it also saves me from applying to a plastic surgery fellowship after, for example, a general surgery residency, because that's not guaranteed, right? I can apply my 4th year of medical school to a general surgery residency. I can get into a general surgery residency, do those 5 years, and then apply for a fellowship in plastic surgery, and that's not guaranteed that I'm gonna get that fellowship. And then I'm just stuck being a general surgeon, even though what I really wanna be is a plastic surgeon. So that's why integrated programs are more lucrative and people want it more. Not just because you save time, but because you're doing all of your training at one institution and you're not having to apply again. And applying again also costs a lot of money to travel, to do all these interviews at different institutions and go all over the place. So that's kind of like the synopsis of all these different programs having multiple tracks to have the same end result. So number 4 is vascular surgery. So kind of surgery of your vessels, basically. So they make $476,000 a year on average. And that also has 3 different tracks that you can go through to become a vascular surgeon. So the traditional way is to do a 5-year residency program in general surgery, and then followed by a 2-year fellowship in vascular surgery. Now we also have integrated programs. That is where you do a 5-year total residency. So that saves you 2 years from the traditional track. So the 5-year integrated program is 3 years of vascular surgery and 2 years of general surgery. And then there's also another track, which is called the ESP track, and only certain programs have this, where you enter a general surgery residency, which is 5 years, and your last year of your general surgery residency is considered your first year of your vascular fellowship. So it's called a 4 and 2 program. So really you're only doing 4 years of general surgery and 2 years of vascular surgery. So that's 6 years. So you can do a 5, 6, or 7 year track. And like I said, I think a lot of people that are pursuing that either apply straight to the integrated track. If they don't get it, then they apply also to general surgery. Or I can apply to be a general surgeon, be doing my general surgery residency, and then realize during my residency that I really like the vascular surgery aspect of my rotations, and so then I can apply to do vascular surgery. So I think that's how the integrated program came about, was that people who did general surgery, some people knew right out of medical school that they wanted to do vascular surgery, so that it just kind of saved them time. Number 3, of course, I think a lot of us expected it to be on the list, was orthopedic surgery. So the people who, do surgery to fix you up, basically. They're called the builders. And usually they're thought to be the really strong, big guys that usually played sports in college and all that. So that's usually what I think of when I think of an orthopedic surgeon, not a tiny petite girl, but more women should pursue it. Oopsies. So yeah, so that residency program is 5 years. Oh, I didn't even say the salary. So an orthopedic surgeon makes on average $538,000 a year. That's a lot of money. And their program is a 5-year residency program with 1 year of general surgery and 4 years of orthopedic surgery. It's all these sound so long. This is after medical school, after we did 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school, and now 5 to 7 years of training. So much. So now number 2 on the list is a thoracic surgeon, and they make $603,000 a year on average. So this is basically your heart surgeon. And they also have multiple tracks to become a heart surgeon. The traditional track is 5 years of general surgery residency, followed by a 2 to 3 year fellowship in thoracic surgery. So some fellowship programs are 2 years, some are 3. You just pick which one, apply to both. And then there's also what's called an integrated track, which is 6 years of thoracic surgery residency. So like I said, that would all be done at one institution, and you only have to apply one time, and you go straight out of medical school. And then there's also what's called the fast track program where you do 4 years of general surgery followed by 3 years of thoracic surgery, and that's all in the same institution. So some people that pursue thoracic surgery, I think it is lucrative to like have a longer training time. It like looks better because one, you're training longer, so you're considered to be a better doctor than someone who did, if you do a 7-year training program versus someone who did like 5 or 6, you're considered to be a better doctor because you trained more, you put in more hours, and basically that's why some people apply, I guess, to the fast track or the traditional program versus the integrated track. I remember hearing that at like some kind of talk, how some people are saying, yeah, having a longer residency sucks, right? Because you don't get paid well as a resident at all, and you're working crazy hours, but your training is better, and so overall you are a better physician. And last but not least, number 1 is neurosurgeons. Neurosurgeons, they make $663,000 a year. And I'm actually not surprised by that. I think they deserve that. They have the longest residency. They have, after medical school, a 7-year straight direct residency program. So that's like 7 years on top of the 4 years, on top of the other 4 years. So that's a long time. So I think they deserve that money. So there you have it. Those are the top 5 highest paid doctors. And all of those specialties are incredibly tough to get into. And what does that mean? That means that there's more people applying for those spots than those are spots available, which means they're very lucrative. You have to get really good grades, really high scores on all your licensing exams. You have to do a lot of research. You have to basically be a great student, star student, have great letters of recommendations, everything to get into those medical specialties because people want that money. And I guess one of the toughest decisions, like a decision that a medical student has to make, is choosing a specialty. And it's super tough because you have to choose between doing what you love, especially if doing what you love is something that is like a lower paid doctor, like primary care specialties, you know, they make around $200,000 a year versus these doctors are making like 3-4 times that, and doing something that is gonna help you pay off all the debt that you have acquired in medical school. So that's why I'm hoping that more medical schools become like NYU and start offering free tuition, because then that will allow students to really pursue what they love and not follow the money. So yeah, that was basically it. Oh, one more thing. Kind of talking about myself and what I want to do. I'm not 100% sure about what I want to go into, but I do think compensation will sort of probably play a role in what I decide to go into my 4th year of medical school. Because I'd be lying if I said money wasn't a factor, right? I'm acquiring so much debt. Like, you guys, it's sickening how much money I have to pay to be a doctor. It's really sickening. So it's like all this burden, and to come out not making enough or like taking longer to pay off that debt, because the longer you take to pay off the debt, the more money you owe, and interest accruing and all that stuff. So it's like, how can it not play a factor in what you want to do when you have so much debt? So I'm actually going to do a video on debt. So comment down below how much money you think I'm going to owe by the end of my 4th year, and I'll tell you guys how much it is, because it's a lot, and it's kind of scary to think that I'm going to have to pay this back with a lot of interest. But yeah, hopefully there's something that will help me out. But yeah, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you were surprised at some of these figures or not. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.